So, good afternoon, and it is my excited pleasure to introduce to you a very, very special student to me, Sama Elziady. And she's in Cairo. Because what we wanted to do was really widen out a little bit so that this is not just a UK-based conversation. So I asked Sama, and I've known Sama for many years now, if she would tell us about her life as a student at the British University in Cairo in Egypt, and she's studying political science, no less, and this is her last year. And so she's hit her dissertation time and getting her papers in amidst COVID-19. So Sama, I just want to start by saying thank you so much for giving up your time, because I also appreciate that it's the beginning of Ramadan, so Ramadan Kareem. And
thank you, you too.
thank you. I just would like to know, what's it like in Cairo? What's happening in Cairo right now?
Actually, it's very new to us, and every 2 weeks there are new policies coming about. So we have local policies as well as our university coming up with new policies. So we're always waiting to see what's going to happen the next day. But it's been a while since we've been at home. Since 15th of March has been the same. We can see like cases are on the rise. So it's a bit shocking for us because it's something new. We never thought this would be about. Even for me at university, it has suddenly changed like 6 weeks ago. It was me on campus preparing for my finals, submitting my papers, and then out of a sudden everything changed. So it's shocking for everyone. So yeah, pretty much that's it. It's like we're waiting to see what's going to happen up next. So yeah.
And and shock is that word, isn't it? It's certainly a word that people have commented on a lot, that they do feel shocked by this. So you say that 6 weeks ago you're wandering around campus and then you go into lockdown. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is like in Cairo? Because I mean, I remember being in Cairo, and there are so many different areas there, aren't there? And so many different systems and differences in how people are living and structures and systems, aren't there? Yeah. I've asked you a massive question, but you know, I'm going with you're a political science major, so I'm kind of hoping you'll get that.
Yes, sure. It's shocking because, for example, we were not ready for such change. For example, let's talk about the use of internet. This is one of the major things we're facing right now because we did follow an online system. However, now everything is dependent on the internet. So that's one of the major changes. Second thing, for example, is dealing with our daily life. It's a bit of a change because like we used to go out, get everything. Now we're depending more on services. So it's like, it's a good way that we would depend more on these services. But however, like our structure wasn't like that before the quarantine. So it's a bit of a change in the way we're dealing with our daily life routines. Second thing, transportation, for example. A lot of us, like, we depended heavily on transportation, so that became a major issue. So it is a big change. We're trying to adapt with it. I'm not only talking about myself, but even my friends and my relatives. We're trying to adapt to a new system that is functioning to an extent, however, not to the point where we can actually heavily depend on. So this is why I use the word shocking, because we never thought we'd actually use such things right now. And now it's the only thing we can use and depend on to get things done. Also, in terms of, for example, my university, my system is actually working very well. Right. Compared to other universities, they're facing a lot. So there's this disparity in terms of having access to offline resources. Yeah. Like I thank God that my university was actually capable of following so before quarantine, but for others, it's becoming a major problem, like this shift in how to be capable of delivering classes and still following the same schedule, having the finals and also the assessments. So it's a bit of a change actually. But the way I see it, to be honest, it's a good change. We can learn a lot because for future reference, for example, these systems should be applied from now on, regardless of any circumstances. So it's a positive change, the way I see it. However, it's very stressful, to be honest, but we're trying to adapt with it. And like, for example, here in Cairo, they're trying to implement new policies for future circumstances. So it's a good change, yet a very hard change to come about, especially under what we're in and we've been facing a lot. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. And in terms of you, I mean, because this is your final year, and I know what a committed student you are. I mean, truly you are. So do you think that that's impacting your studies? Do you think that that's going to impact outcomes for you?
For me in person, I'm trying not to get stressed, although it's very hard. For example, one of the basic things is that I used to hang out with my friends, for example, like 2 weeks before starting to write my papers, in a sense that it would help me to do better. It's like a sense of like being out, enjoying time with your friends. Or I would like go out one day after writing a big part of my paper. So it was a way of motivating me to start working and to continue working. Now I can't do this. The only way for me is to sit out in my balcony. It's like the only way. So I feel like I'm going out. Not to lie, it is actually stressful. It's very pressuring in the sense because like I know I have my deadlines. I know I should be submitting my papers. I should be attentive to my classes to attend. So it is stressful, but I'm trying to learn from it. Actually, this is the way I see it, and I've been trying to tell so to my friends. So it's the point is that we're in this. There's no point of actually saying, oh, it's so stressful, I don't know what to do. So let's just accept the fact that it happened. Let's focus on the good aspects of it. So the way I'm seeing is that I'm learning new skills, for example, depending more on my phone and my laptop. It's a good thing. Although before, like, we should have stayed away from it and like don't use media for a long time. But now it's becoming more of a necessity. For example, one of the things I'm focusing on is mailing. Like the skill of how to email properly and how to respond, how to be attentive to my email, for example, in my classes more often. A second thing is that I think it's more enjoyable because I usually attend my classes and I don't miss any class. But now until we're in, I feel like no, I don't want to miss it at all. Although I never missed a class before, but it's this sense that makes me feel everything is in place. I still get to connect to my doctors. I still get to submit. We have one-on-one discussions, for example. So I'm trying not to think of it in a bad way, because if I did, there will be no point of it because we're in this and I can't change anything about it. So I'm trying to look upon it as a positive experience, something that I will look upon a year from now, 2 years from now. It's like, I passed this, I learned from this. And in case it happens again, I think I can deal with it and with new insights to add upon it. So yeah.
So in that, what I'm hearing from you is that despite that disconnection from your friends and, you know, hanging out and that support network, you're actually reconnecting, but in a different way. You are more observant, that when you're in your lectures, you're listening that little bit harder. It's more focal for you, as opposed to I'm in a lecture and I'm listening. You are much more determined with this, yeah? The other thing that I heard was, and I know this because I have lived in Egypt, that when you go out to your balcony.
Yeah.
So are you not walking in the streets?
In my case, we're actually taking it very serious. Like us as a family and other friends of ours, we're taking it very serious in the sense like we're trying to limit us going outside. However, for example, my parents, they still have to go out. I have my father, he goes to work, but it's very limited. So it's like we're trying to follow this contingency plan of limiting our visits outside. But in terms of me and my sisters, we actually don't go out. Maybe the only time it's like we just took the car and we like drove around the house, but that was only like for 30 minutes. Aside from that, we don't connect with anyone else.
Okay.
However, this is the problem. I say this is why it's shocking, because up until now, people are not capable of actually living in what we are in. So they still go out, but not as the usual, but still we get to listen to how people get to meet outside, but still they're trying to like follow the social distancing aspect while meeting. However, it's something new, and I think this is why it's shocking, because we're changing our daily life routine. However, there are certain things that can't be changed. You still need to go outside, but we're following this while taking high precautions.
Yeah, because I mean, Cairo itself, there are like millions of people there, aren't there? I mean, that's a high density city with extreme poverty as well. So what is your news showing? What is the information coming out about those different, like I said earlier, those differing areas of Cairo? What's happening for those people? I mean, the amount of people that are not living in structured apartments, and I said that about your balcony is because you don't actually have that many gardens, do you, in Cairo? You more likely have a balcony.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I go and sit in my garden, Sama. You know, I'm like, oh, sat in the garden having a cup of tea. I can't imagine what it would be like for me to think, oh, I can't go out. I've got a balcony. I can't sit in my garden. So yeah, so what's it like, and what's the information coming in about those people that do, you know, there is extreme poverty, isn't there, in Cairo, in Egypt itself?
Yes, it's true. Actually, something to notice about, and it's actually a change for our country. And for me, it's not of a surprise, but it's more of something I'm proud about, is that with the circumstances we're in, it was very noticeable that our government, they actually took the necessary steps. It's something that we never, I don't want to say we never thought about it, but it wasn't expected that such policies would come about in such timing. And it's true, as you said, we do have high levels of poverty. But it's just like any other country around the world. It's that they're trying to allocate the resources that would be efficient for all.
Yes.
I think this is the whole focus. It's not to measure a disparity between those who live in good conditions and those who have harsh living conditions. So the focus is on allocating the necessary resources for those who are in need. And they have come to witness that, actually. In terms of transportation, I was telling you, they still use the transportation, but while using it, they're trying to ensure that not a high number of people would be in such transportation services.
Because you can fit a lot of people in a minibus, can't you? In a microbus. I have been in them before, and that is. I'm amazed by just that point.
But that's the point. But exactly, that's the point, is that we can still do so. However, the focus is on still using these services while ensuring the safety of the people,
Yeah.
regardless of their social standards. And this is something that is very witnessed. Second thing, for example, is that our state is becoming very efficient in terms of medical services. They're trying to stay in line with the needs of the hospitals and the needs of the people. So it's something of a shift. I can say so, is that it's changing different aspects in our society, and on a political level as well. It's the sense of being more accountable to the people regardless of the circumstance. So I agree, it is of a harsh condition, not only for us but for the state, and how to deal with it. But it's something we're all learning from. I think us as people, and those in like high senior official levels.
Yeah.
So it's a more of a positive and negative experience, adding on, like, referring to what was missed in the past years and should
Yeah.
have been there now, and what is here now and can be developed upon for later years.
Do you know what, that is just, that's amazing to hear, that you know that you are seeing this, because you are the next generation. You are the person that people and partnering, especially if you're looking at political science, that are wanting to be part of that change. And that, and again, it's, I've spoken of this before, that it's almost like this gift in barbed wire that's come out of something so horrific. I mean, this pandemic is horrific, and the trauma surrounding that is massive. But I just keep hearing from people these little pockets of growth, these little pockets of post-traumatic growth, that in actual fact, whilst people are in this, they can see this challenge that we're in, but they can see that, hang on a minute, this is what's happened here, this is what's grown out of that. And you've used it a lot, this term of learning, that in actual fact, this is what I've learned, this is what the system, the state are learning and showing us that they've learned. Yeah. And that you are learning that different way of connection.
Yeah.
And do you feel, I mean, you and I are chatting here, you know, I'm sat in England, you're sat in Egypt. And yes, we have a historical, you know, friendship of our families. But there's also that movement now across the world that more people are connecting into each other.
Yeah.
Have you found that?
Actually, yes. I think out.
You seem to have lost your connection, Sama. We definitely have. We've lost Sama's connection.
Connection to
Oh,
us and others.
you're back, Sama. You're back. We lost you.
I'm sorry. Let me say this again. So I think that out of what we're in, people are not only connecting to one another, but they're even connecting to themselves, in the sense of referring back to how our life was before this context. So, and this is the way I see it, and this is the way most of my friends and families are looking upon it, is that we're reflecting on what was before this pandemic came out to be, and also connecting to one another in different means and taking into account new ideas.
Yeah.
And I think this is the purpose of what we should be focusing on, is not only being terrified, and I can use the word terrified because a lot, and actually here, we're terrified of what's going to happen next. And for example, talking about myself and my friends, it's this terrified of what will happen to our finance. How are we going to graduate? How are we going to submit our papers? Then we're sitting and having access. So I think instead of being worried on what is to be, I think the focus should be on now. What
Yeah.
can we do with now? How to connect to others and how to deal with what we have with different ways. So the word connect is not only connection between, for example, me and you,
Yeah.
two different people, but it's also me and myself. How would I connect in a sense of how to deal with what I have? And I think this is something I'm trying to focus on, and this is why up until today, I don't feel that stressed in the sense that I'm not trying to focus on what will happen tomorrow. I'm
No.
focusing on today.
Yeah.
I have something to write, I have something to submit. Let me work on it today. Let me connect with others, feeling that it's normal. Yes, I'm doing so from my house. Yes,
Yeah.
my only hanging out is my balcony. I don't see anyone aside from my family, but it's fine. Let me focus on doing so today.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow, after tomorrow, a month, let's say, that's something I keep on reminding myself. It might not be tomorrow. This whole thing will not end. But the way it came out of the blue, just one night, suddenly we're in quarantine.
Yeah.
I'm not being able to see my friends. I can't go to campus. Just as that came out of a sudden, I believe that at a certain day, this whole thing will come to an end out of a sudden. So up until it comes, I'm trying to connect with myself in a sense of reflecting upon what we're in. And I know you told me I keep on mentioning the word learn because it's something I want to always remind myself with. It's one of the things I actually have on my laptop whenever I open. So it's a small note. It's like, today you should learn something new. Focus on that. Because it gives me the sense of like, it's a good thing.
It
Why
is.
to waste it? It's this point. Why to waste today worrying when a lot can be done today, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. So let's
No.
focus on today. So yes, I'm trying to connect with my friends. We're connecting on through new ways. We're learning about new things, focusing on new things, for example, and discussions. Like maybe when we were on campus, for example, I wouldn't talk to a lot because it's like the usual. I know I'll see him tomorrow. I'll see him in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
But now we're more focused on actually connecting. We're more focused on texting one another, calling one another to check upon them. So it's a new thing that's being added, and maybe it's asserting more on this idea of staying in touch with others.
Because do you think that because you are very now based, because we don't know what's happening tomorrow and we don't know what's happening in a month, that time becomes almost more precious, doesn't it? That, you know, that I'm using the word connection again, but that connection, because it is based in right now without that knowledge and that, we've never had a certainty, but we had an assurity that, well, next week I'll see you on campus, or next week I'll see you when I pop down to, you know, your house. So now it's like actually making the most of that.
Yes, I agree, because before we took things for certain and for granted. We like, it's, as you said, it's not like we know what was going to happen, but we took things for granted, knowing that tomorrow it's like a regular day. We're just gonna go in on campus, have our usual from classes, and then see some friends and go back to our family. So it was a norm, more of a norm and a custom. We got used to it. And now it's something as if we feel like we're losing it. So we're trying to connect to ensure that this norm is still found, but with a new twist added upon it, something new. So yes, but actually, I find it a bit interesting, and a bit nice, and something to look upon years from now. And I think it's going to add new things in our perspectives, the way we act with things and the way we deal with people, because we just learned now things shouldn't be taken for granted. Our daily routine, for example, riding the car, going to have a cup of coffee in your favorite cafe, going outside, we took such things for granted. And I think it's like, the way I see it, actually, it's like a lesson for us, for all, because for the very first time, the whole world is connected.
Totally.
And I really like this word. It's connected because we're sharing the same suffering.
Yes.
We have a common fear and yet one common hope of having this virus put to an end. So it's one fear, one hope, and one way to do so is to connect, to know that we're all in this together, and out of this we can all come out together. So it's something to think about, and I'm enjoying it.
Do you know, Sama, I have always adored you. I mean, you literally are this amazing being, and you've literally nailed it, Sama. You know, you get the stamp, you get the chocolate bar. This is we're alluding to when I used to teach you. Apparently Sama's mum, she said, didn't she, if you do well, you'll get a stamp and a chocolate bar. I was the bribing teacher. But, you know, you literally have nailed that, in that, you know, it's something to learn. It's that connection. I mean, that is absolutely beautiful. We have, what did you say? We have a fear and we have a hope.
Yes. And we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. And I didn't prime you. We didn't discuss this at all. And so this has come through so beautifully, that I am sat here in England. You are sat there in Egypt. And do you know what? I give it to you, Sama. You literally are an incredible student. And I wish you so much for these studies. I really do.
Actually, to have this discussion, it's one of the things where I got to learn something new today, and I think we connected, so it proves what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. Good luck with those studies, Sama. You deserve the very, very best. You really, really do. And to do it with such compassion during this time is amazing. So thank you. I'm going to connect us out because it looks like Sama's connection has disappeared. Thank you.